Are you a fan of David Lynch? For the entire month of October, we're going to be talking about David Lynch movies. Make sure you subscribe so you can see what movies we're talking next. All right. If you saw the title of this video and you're curious as to what's about, keep watching because we're going to talk about it at some point. And, you'll be sure to learn about the thing that we put in the title. So stick around. We got a great show for you today. Brad's here, as per usual. Thanks for coming, Brad.
No problem.
Not blocking. Andrew Walker, welcome.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Joseph.
Yeah, for sure.
What the folks can't see at home is that Joseph is holding a gun to Brad's balls right now, like in Inglourious Bastards. He makes him be here every time.
Yeah.
My balls sweat enough already, so to have a gun pointed at them.
Yeah. You're like that fighter. My balls was hot.
Boom.
Have you seen that?
I have.
Okay.
Yes, the fighter, yes.
Andrew, you tell us about yourself, Andrew.
Okay. Yeah, so I do a podcast in Lake Orion, interview comedy / music variety show where I always try to have either a comedian or musician on my show, and I interview them kind of between two ferns style. Sometimes it gets a little dark, but you got to keep it. You got to keep people on the edge of their seats.
Right. So you draw them in.
I've done some improv and sketch at Go Comedy in Ferndale.
Nice.
And a tiny bit at Planet Ant in Hamtramck. But yeah, I've been doing this sort of thing the past 5 or 6 years.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this time around, we're talking, it's October. We've been doing Lynch-Tober, as we call it. And we're talking Lost Highway. This is the last one we're going to do. So you're lucky to be on the... It's fucking... Stop my phone. You're lucky to be on the last one. You made it in.
Thank you. I made it in just by the skin of my teeth.
All right. Brad, you watched the movie?
I did, but I watched it like 2 weeks before I had to, so my notes are not as fresh as they should be.
You watched it?
I watched it the last couple nights. Okay. Yeah, I split it up. Watched 1 hour, or the first half Monday, the last half Tuesday. And I'm glad I did because I have to admit, I saw this movie once 20 years ago, freshman year of college.
Damn.
Not sober. So
So it made less sense then.
Yeah. Even then, it was like, I remember Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette, and of course, the mystery man, Robert Blake.
Yes.
That's that first scene where he introduces himself at the party, just spine tingling.
Yeah.
Especially when you know that Robert Blake went on to 6 years later, murder his wife.
No, did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
He got off.
He got off in 2 ways.
I didn't know if that's where we were going. Well, that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Did you not know that, Brad?
I truly did not. I actually
look it up on Wikipedia.
I'm going to have to now.
Yeah.
We love murder. Nope. That's not it.
Murder.
This was a movie that was made in '96. So I have some background on the film. I did some research, and so this film, it was written, directed by David Lynch, co-written by a guy, Barry Gifford, who's an author who wrote the book Wild at Heart, which is another movie we talked about.
That's one of the few Lynch movies I still haven't seen, so I need to watch it.
I think we both came to the consensus it's our favorites.
I think as of right now, it's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I love some Nicolas Cage.
I think that might be the thing for me because I was on a plane just the other day and I was watching Renfeld.
Yeah, the Dracula.
Yes.
Movie with him and Nicholas Hoult. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I went in with just okay expectations. Like I'm sure this will be worth one watch. Like it's an airplane movie. I had a great time. Nicolas Cage is
Really? I was not
really
a fan of that movie.
It's not an amazing movie, but it's fine. It takes a very small amount of things. Like I like most movies. It's hard for me to hate a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that movie with my fiance, then girlfriend, and she was making fun of me because that movie has a support group, like a monster support group, and she was like, "You stole that from this movie," because in my short film Interview with the Frankenstein, there's a support group, and I was like, "Fuck, this movie fucking came out at the wrong time," but it's okay. Yeah.
Yours was a different enough twist on it.
Yeah, I think so. So this co-written Barry Gifford. How David Lynch came up with the title is he saw in a different book by Barry Gifford the word Lost Highway, and he went to him and he's like, I love that phrase. Let's write a movie about and have the title Lost Highway.
Right.
Which is, that's about, how he functions,
It's all great. Movies and music
Right.
starts with
If
the
you
title.
read that about David Lynch and you know anything, just an elementary knowledge of the dude, you're like, all right, that
makes
tracks.
sense.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy to write something just off a title.
Yeah. Yeah. Eraserhead, Blue Velvet. It's almost like, all his movies, he just comes up with a title. And he's
Title
like, all right.
first, everything else later.
Yeah.
He's driving down Mulholland. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is going to, this is 2 blocks from my house. I'm going to make this the next movie.
Yeah.
Who's the next hot young thing?
Who can I get naked in
Naomi
this movie?
Watts. All right, let's get her in. I was surprised at the amount of nudity in that movie because
that movie and this movie.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going back to Lost
yeah.
Highway, but with Patricia Arquette, I'm like, oh wow, that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
that
I read
much.
into that a bit. She apparently this was her first doing nudity in a film, and she was a bit uncomfortable with it, but David made her feel so safe and accepting. So
Well, that's good.
That's
Just based on her resume, I was like, I'm surprised she's done a topless scene or in this movie scenes.
Yeah, she's just about every scene.
I had to
she's
go
in,
back
she's
and try to
naked.
think. She wasn't nude in True Romance, right? With Christian Slater.
I don't think
That's her, right? Patricia Arquette.
She was in True Romance. I just haven't seen it. It's on my list.
I do have some information that involves True Romance too, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Oh.
Nice.
Keep watching so you can
Tease.
learn about
Keep
that.
watching, folks.
What a tease.
Don't turn this off and turn on Netflix. Keep watching.
Keep watching this. So this is where the title of this video comes in.
Video cassette.
Video cassette. No. So close though. So we had Gunnar. He's a friend of ours who's been on the podcast previously. He said that this movie was inspired by 9/11. That was not true. Gunnar, you were wrong about that. This movie is actually inspired by the OJ case.
But I had a fixation on O.J. Simpson, the trial. And I think some of this grew out of the O.J. Simpson.
Oh.
Wait,
the
so
9/11 of the 90s.
The 9/11 of the 90s.
wait,
yeah.
so he's trying to say this movie that came out 4 or so years before 9/11 was inspired by 9/11?
I don't think he knew when it came out, but yeah, he told us that this movie was inspired by 9/11. It was actually inspired by the OJ case, which, having that knowledge now, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wealthy couple in L.A. and
A murder.
murder and
Yeah, and videotapes. That was something else. David Lynch told Barry Gifford, he liked the idea of sending videotapes to someone, and so he was like, that could be something in the film. But we can get started in the story now that we've gotten all the background.
Yeah.
And I can interject with my. This is gonna be a full Aspergers episode for me because I went deep into the fucking lore of this film.
I mean, it's one of those movies you watch and you're like, I'm going to have to watch this again. I definitely didn't get everything.
Yep.
I know that many other people have written about this movie
Yeah.
because it's so weird and doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's see if anyone else has a better grasp on it than I do. Yeah.
So the film starts. The Pullman himself, Bill Pullman.
Icon.
Yeah. He was cast because he was just David Lynch's neighbor, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to be in this movie?"
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, easy enough. Just go next door.
Casper rapped. I'm good.
Yeah,
Isn't it weird to think that a year before that, he was the president on Independence Day,
Yeah.
and then he does this type of
it
film.
is very it's not a Bill Pullman role. It was a bit surprising that he's in it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, I was thinking the whole time, he probably had Kyle MacLachlan in mind for this, but he was probably busy doing something else and just couldn't have the time.
He was
Because
busy doing the Flintstones.
Yeah. This would have been around then, right?
It was like 97.
That's
I
the
think.
one regret Kyle MacLachlan has in life. I did the Flintstones instead of Lost Highway. Hey, it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he's a jazz saxophonist. His wife is Patricia Arquette. What's her name? Renee. And she's a sexy black-haired lady. That's important for later in the movie.
Yeah.
They have sex, but he's not good at it.
She just kind of pats him on the back.
Nice job.
You
buddy.
tried, man.
But they had a break-in. People keep sending them videotapes of their house. Like impossible that it would be, videotaped without, them knowing. And then they go to a party at Andy's house, which is where you were saying where they meet Robert Blake. Do one of you guys want to?
It's not my story to tell.
Yeah. It's really no one's story to tell.
It's not my journey.
I thought that was a cool scene. Like you could tell that it was like a really mid to late 90s like yuppie party
Yeah.
with there's probably lots of key bumps of coke in every corner. But yeah, you can tell Bill Pullman's character.
Yes.
He's just you could tell like he's got a bunch of crap on his mind.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, Robert Blake shows up and white face paint, shaved eyebrows,
White face.
Yeah, really
slicked back hair.
uneasy looking.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd have to go back and watch or maybe look online. I don't think he blinks in the entire movie. He's always like this.
I would believe it.
Yeah.
I would believe it.
Big, huge, creepy eyes and creepy smile.
He looks like the guy from Bill and Ted's.
Was it the Grim Reaper
Yeah,
guy?
maybe.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Makeup.
But like a
not,
little more creepy because it's like it's like that's his face,
He's like if Bill and Ted, Grim Reaper, and Joe Pesci had a baby.
Yeah, that's a pretty. There's a point when he's having sex with his wife and she like turns and it's Robert Blake's face.
Yeah, but with her hair. Yeah, freaky.
Pre face swap or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
What do they call it?
Face off.
Yeah.
Face. This is pre-face. No, this is.
I think face
This is
swap.
probably pre-face off.
Yeah. Okay, so they're at this part. Oh, this is important. Is at the beginning of the film, he has a message button. What do they call it? Doorbell receiver.
Intercom.
Intercom
I don't know. Is that right? I don't know. I've never had one.
Intercom, speaker box.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Talk thing.
Yeah.
Talk
that
thing.
big.
And he gets a message that Dick Laurent is dead. And that comes up again later in the film. So he's at this party. He's talking to the man. He gives him his phone. He's like, "Oh, I'm inside of your house right now." And he's like, "What?"
That's fucking crazy, man.
And he answers the phone, and he was really in his house right now, and he laughs at the same time. Does it,
Trippy.
Yeah.
Very trippy.
That's unsettling. It's like the call's literally coming from inside the house.
Yeah. And so his instinct is, well, I'm going to go home then. So, yeah. And he tells Andy, he's not a fan of Andy. Andy is like I don't know, is he a porn star, porn director?
You kind of get the feeling that something like that. I don't know if it's like explicitly talked about.
Trafficker.
He's a trafficker. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Porn trafficker, if you will.
He's got the signature David Lynch villain pencil mustache.
Yeah.
And his wife like met Andy back in the day on a film shoot. And so I think that's like sort of where the implication comes in, like, oh, it was shooting a porno.
Yeah.
And he tells him like, oh, he's a friend of Dick Laurent's, and he's like, isn't Dick Laurent dead? And he's like, you're not supposed to know that.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay, so this part of the movie is kind of boring. He just goes home. He freaks out. The police come. Whatever bullshit happens. But then he gets into like this kind of crazy state, and he wakes up and he has like memories of murdering his wife, which is when he ends up going to prison.
Yeah, that part I do not remember at all from the movie. I'm like, oh, wow. What's the rest of the movie going to be?
Yeah.
That was my thought, because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where this is going now, because I didn't know where it was going before, but this was not, definitely not in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And wouldn't you know, you'd have no idea where this is going, because the guards go to check on him. By the way, one of the guards, Henry Rollins,
Henry Rollins, yeah, from the punk band, what was it called?
I don't
Black
know.
Flag.
I just know that it was Henry Rollins.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple other actors.
Yeah, there's a few other. Yeah.
We won't spoil anything.
So the guards check on him. They're like, "Hey, that's not him. He's changed. He's a new person."
Pete Dayton.
Pete Dayton. He's a 27-year-old kid. He got in a little bit of trouble with the law, but he's a good kid all in all.
Auto mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, we don't know what to do with this kid, so they make a call. The Buseys show up. The Buseys in their matching leather jackets and sunglasses indoors.
When I saw that Gary Busey, I'm like, oh yeah. Here we go, baby.
Gary Busey's a treasure.
Yeah. You're a fan of Gary Busey, aren't you? You're interested in him?
I think he's funny.
Yeah.
Back when on E! There was that show Talk Soup or The Soup, back when Joel McHale hosted it.
Oh, yeah.
They would make fun of Gary Busey all the fucking time, and it was so fucking funny.
It's like a running joke.
Yeah, because he would say shit in interviews like, I'm going to rip your endocrine system out of your body.
Yeah.
Like, he's
He's a crazy
absolutely
insane.
Yeah.
Have you read his book, Buseyisms?
I didn't know he had that.
Yeah.
I truly did not know he had a book. I'll just be nice
It's
about
written
it.
in crayon.
No. I believe you.
He's pretty good in this role. Because you expect him to be like the badass, because he's like leather jacket and he's like, tough guy, rides a motorcycle, but he's very like sweet and like loving dad.
Yeah, he's like one of the few people in the movie who you're like, possibly a decent person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not playing the character I expected him to play.
Yeah.
Just, he was not as over the top as I was expecting.
Yeah, he didn't go full Busey.
No.
Never go full Busey.
Never.
It's dangerous.
Okay, so his son, he's home. His parents are happy he's home. He works at an auto mechanic owned by Richard Pryor.
Did not expect Richard Pryor in this film. He was probably the most random person in this movie.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was alive in '97.
I think he passed away in 2006 or so.
Okay.
But I think that was his last. It might have been in like one of his last films because he got really sick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, he's in like what, one scene, one or two scenes.
Yeah, I think he's only in one
Literally
scene.
like
Yeah.
that,
just that one time.
And he's sitting like a motor scooter or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that? Could he not walk in real life? Is that why he was in it, or?
I think he had multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
I'll say I don't know if that's related to the fire or not, because he got burnt up.
Yeah,
one
that's
point,
right.
But I feel like that was years before.
Yeah,
this
I think
movie.
that was
I think he did have MS, so I think they just kind of like work that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the boy, what's his name? Pete.
Yep.
Pete. He works for his favorite car to work on is this guy, Mr. Eddie, who he's like a mob boss type character.
Played by Robert Loggia.
Loggia.
Is it Loggia or Loggia? I
have no idea.
I just know the Family Guy. Loggia.
He has this nice Mercedes. He takes the boy for a ride, and then we get a quick PSA for tailgating. He's so mad about it.
He was. I respected the fuck out of him for that, though. I was like, no, like there should be more of that, so that there's more awareness, so people like that don't do that anymore.
Yeah, he's pulling out all the stats. He knows the laws. He knows his shit.
50,000 people were killed on the highway last year because of fucking assholes like you. Tell me you're gonna get a manual.
That scene, it went on for like 3 or 4 minutes.
It really
did. It's almost like a crazy person wrote a script and told someone to say it.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. But so this Mr. Eddie guy, he's got this sexy girl, and wouldn't you know, it's Patricia Arquette.
Ah.
With blonde hair this time. Mm-hmm. And so he begins an illustrious affair with Patricia Arquette. They're banging. But he also has a girlfriend who he's banging.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
One memorable line from one of the cops when they're staking him out.
Oh yeah.
Fucker gets more pussy than a toilet seat.
He gets more pussy than a toilet seat.
Had a good laugh.
That's kind of gross, but I guess
Kind of gross. I've heard more ass in a toilet seat, but yeah, sure, yeah, why not?
I feel like
Same area.
the pussy isn't even touching the toilet seat.
That's where my head goes.
Yeah.
But
no time. I mean,
what do I know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're not getting as much pussy as a toilet seat.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I'm not. You guys might be. Yeah. Something I thought was funny was when he was with his girlfriend in the car, and they're about to bang. She's got like this nice green sweater on, and then she takes it off, and she's got nothing underneath. And I'm like, you can't go sweater on bare chest.
I got a raw dog a sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, especially she has like perched nipples at the time, so she, I'm sure that was rubbing. I mean, yeah,
Some turkey timers.
Yeah.
Tuning into Tokyo.
Just at 10 and 2.
yeah. It could be like she knew she was gonna bang tonight, so like I'm not gonna wear a bra, but
Just make it more efficient.
Right.
Probably no panties either.
He's an older gentleman. Just make it easier.
yeah. So, all right, so he's banging this chick, this Patricia Arquette. We get a little bit of background on her. She met Mr. Eddie, and she was like his prized possession, and he was like, oh, I love this chick. He's like, you know what I'd do if a guy fucked her is I'd like shoot him in the head. I'd stick a gun up his ass and blow his brains out or something like that.
And you believe him. Yeah. You know he would, and he probably has before.
I would say he's at least practiced.
Yeah.
You got to get the right angle.
Yeah.
He's practiced on some homeless people.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
He's practiced on some drivers. Yeah, and so you get the sense that Mr. Eddie knows that there's an affair going on, but also he doesn't do anything about it.
Right.
As is life.
Yeah.
You can't fix everything.
Yeah. So, and he also calls him at some point with the mystery man on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't remember what the conversation goes, but it's essentially just like, he has the same conversation with him that he has with Fred at the party earlier in the movie.
That's right.
I believe.
Right.
That sounds right.
Okay, so they decide we got to get out of here. She's like, I know this guy, Andy, and Andy.
That's right.
Yeah. He's got this house. He's got a bunch of money. We'll rob him, and then we'll, skip town.
Yep.
So
It's not very nice.
yeah, yeah. What's his name? The boy, Pete.
Yeah.
You could tell there's some jealousy there of like, oh man, like how does she know this guy? He's a real weirdo.
Yep.
He sees like she took her clothes off, and so he's like kind of, but he's like, I'm going through with the plan. Yeah. And then the guy ends up getting his face tabled, or he tables his
Yeah,
face.
that was some pretty interesting practical effects.
Yeah. It looks pretty good. Like,
No, it did.
Yeah.
It looked good. But I'm like, wow.
I'm trying to make a farm to table joke. I got nothing.
Head to table. Head
to table,
head and
face to
shoulders.
table. Head-
face to table.
Shoulders.
Tip to taint.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ass to ankles.
Ass
all
to
the
ankles.
same.
I say ass to ankles in a car a lot.
Okay, so he's freaking out. He's kind of going through it. They finally, they get all his money and they get in his car and they drive out to the desert. They drive on the Lost Highway.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding. The secret word.
Yeah. They get out to the middle of the desert, and they have desert sex. They have steamy desert sex.
Oh, in the sand.
Sandy sex.
Sand in your butt.
I was thinking about that. Did you guys see that Jennifer Lawrence, No Hard Feelings?
It's
have
been
not.
on my Netflix list since they added it. I'm
Okay.
dying to watch it still. I just haven't made the time.
I heard it's like really good for like a raunchy like R-rated comedy, which it's hard to do these days. But
Absolutely.
It's pretty
they
good.
They said it's one of my friends from high school said he watched it and he really liked it. So.
Most people I know that saw it said it was like decent, if not better than they expected.
If you want to see my thoughts on it, watch the video where I talked about it. It's linked somewhere here.
This is true.
But yeah, there's a fight scene where she's naked on the beach, and she does like the splits at one point, and I'm just like, oh no, that's sand. That's gonna end up in there, and it's
it goes everywhere.
Yeah. But anyways, they're having this desert sex, and he's like, "I love you," and she's like, "Oh, I don't love you."
That's nice.
Yeah. She's like,
"Thank you."
It's not gonna happen, buddy. Sorry, but
she says something like, "You can't have me," or something, and that's what.
Yeah, I think he says like, "I want you" or something like that, and she's like, "You'll never have me."
Yeah, you'll never have me. I think that was a line, and you could tell, and then that's when things change.
Yeah, he gets up and he is the Pullman again.
Oh, we were wondering where you went, Bill Pullman. Now you're
like,
back.
what happened?
We were worried about you.
Yeah,
we were worried about.
Well, yeah,
we thought you would have died on death row, buddy.
When you started watching the movie the second night, were you like, "What? Who is this kid? What's going on? Is this a different movie?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But I was, like I said before, I'd seen this movie just once, and probably 20 years ago in college, and it was like what I mean. It was like watching a new movie again. So I was pleasantly surprised that you invited me to be on here, because I don't know when I would have thought about watching Lost Highway again. But no, it's definitely very artistic, well done movie. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely more experimental than some of his other films.
Yeah.
I think Inland Empire is when he goes full experimental, but this one and I think even though it came out before Mulholland Drive, this is like way more experimental than Mulholland Drive is, which that one is also like,
it's also trippy. Yeah.
But okay, were you about to say something?
I was going to say Mulholland Drive was inspired by 9/11.
Yeah.
There was some sort of foreknowledge there, folks. That's all we're gonna say.
The lesbians did 9/11.
It's not just the Simpsons that are in on shit.
All right, so he goes inside the cabin. We see Robert Blake there with the video camera looking on. I mean, that's a hard thing to look at.
I see that. I'm out.
That shot of, I mean, it's iconic for cinephiles out there of him holding that camera up to his face like this.
Yeah. And he's just following
creepy face with his dead eyes, like a doll's eyes.
He runs back to the car, and I was thinking like, oh, just fucking hit him, but he doesn't, because we find out later, they're working together, sort of. They're on the same side.
They're in cahoots.
So he drives to the Lost Highway Hotel, which is where he sees his wife cheating on him with Mr. Eddie, who is actually Dick Laurent. And so his wife leaves. He grabs Dick Laurent, throws him in the trunk, drives him back out into the desert. He slits his throat. They show him like what they are doing, like it's a recording of them, and then they shoot him in the head, another headshot. And then he goes to his house, and then on the intercom he says Dick Laurent is dead, and we can imagine all happens again. It's
like a terrible Groundhog's Day. I bet it just keeps happening over and over in poor Fred's head.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Who can never be for sure?
He speeds off and he's chased by the police, and then he there's like a bright light, and he kind of like vanishes.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends. So this is because I did research this time. It's what they refer to as a Mobius strip. You guys know what that is?
I feel like I've heard of that. Can you elaborate?
Yeah.
It's like a
like infinity sign.
Sort of.
Kind of.
It's like a circle, but it like folds in on itself, and so it's like it's a cyclical story,
right?
But it's like a twist at some point, and so something different happens.
Okay.
At the point where you expect the same thing to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
And so the point earlier when we were talking about True Romance, this movie it sort of came about because David Lynch was not happy with another film we talked about with Gunnar. He had pointed out like a connection between David Lynch films and Oliver Stone films. And David Lynch also made that connection and took it as Oliver Stone plagiarizing him. So
Artists.
yeah, I don't know if this is all like fact, like this is all in a like an explanation video I saw on YouTube. So
Really, because I'm trying to think what the similarities would be like between him and Stone.
I think like true Natural Born Killers, they were saying like pulled a lot from Wild at Heart.
Okay.
Which
I've seen neither movie, so I can't weigh in, but
I've only seen Wild at Heart, and I can see the argument. I just don't know how much water it holds.
Yeah. And yeah, so David Lynch was not happy about that. I think also because Tarantino wrote the screenplay for Natural Born Killers, and he had made some comments about like after Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me came out, he was like, David Lynch is done. Like, I'm never seeing another David Lynch movie. Like, that was fucking bullshit.
Wow.
And so he took actors that were in like Oliver Stone and Tarantino movies, for at least at that point, and put them all in this movie. And so The Lost Highway, there's a lot of shots where you see the highway straight on. It's kind of a cool shot, and that is supposed to symbolize a film reel, like what a film reel looks like when it's going through the projector.
Okay, I can see that.
But you could tell that footage was kind of sped up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And but no, it was really cool. And if I could just make one quick point,
definitely.
Go for it.
that song, the opening's
A lot of great songs.
great soundtrack. I never heard that I remembered that song, "Deranged" by David Bowie, but that's the opening track. I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. Like some like Brian Eno produced electronic David Bowie, which I always enjoy. But
Yeah, no, the songs went hard. That one too, the opening credit song, and
Smashing Pumpkins,
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails, I think, Rammstein, pretty dark.
Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
It's very, very 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this film supposedly is supposed to symbolize the sort of film world turning on David Lynch. So Dick Laurent, I guess, because DL, David Lynch, Dick Laurent, is supposedly, again, this isn't, I don't know if this is true, but is supposedly like, this is symbolizing him. Everyone's saying like he makes weird movies. He makes like pornographic movies. Like it's all style, no substance. And then you have the what's his name? The mystery man is like, blockbuster Hollywood. He's, getting, good shots, and he's, he's all over the place. Like, he's on the set, but he's also in the house, and you get this, and it's supposed to be like he represents the mainstream, sort of turning on the weird like auteur shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that now.
Me too.
Now that you say that, it's pretty symbolic. I wonder who the femme fatale is supposed to be a stand-in for.
Laura Dern.
She shunned him,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh."
She was in Jurassic Park.
She's
and
like,
she-
I got Spielberg money. Yeah. Fuck off.
But then she returned for Inland Empire, so
Good point.
she made
I
her.
no longer have
they ma-
Spielberg money. I purchased one home.
Yeah, and the Pete character is supposed to symbolize like the Hollywood pretty boy like archetype.
Okay.
So there's a lot of theories about like whether it's a dream, sort of like Mulholland Drive.
I want to point out that Bill Pullman is prettier than this Pete guy. Just my opinion.
He's Balthazar Getty. He's John Paul Getty's like grandson.
I read that, yeah,
Okay.
and I had never heard of him elsewhere, but I did look at it like on the Wikipedia page, the cast and everything. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, he's a Getty,
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot of Balthazars these days.
Not a lot of Balthazars, yeah.
All right, that's one way to stick
good
out.
name.
I think
Yeah.
like after
It's like
the
Madonna.
after the 16 or 1700s, that name just died out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really weird.
He's the last one. He's the last Balthazar. That'd be a good movie.
That's a good David Lynch title, The Last Balthazar.
The last Balthazar. And he's like the Hollywood pretty boy, and I guess like the entire sort of middle segment is supposed to be like the film within the film. So like this is like what a typical Hollywood picture would be like. And then anytime sort of Bill Pullman or like the other stuff kind of bleeds in, it's like, oh no, like, you know, this, like, just let the story be itself.
Yeah, I would say probably like the middle like hour of that movie, you could shave off the front or the beginning and end and watch it as a self-contained movie.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Up until, certain points.
Yeah, I mean, even up until like the sex scene, like it could just end with her saying like, you'll never be with me or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we get left on tragedy. Or
Yeah.
Not so much tragedy, heartbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we get to see her naked ass walking inside the cabin. So
That's true. Yes, we do see her naked ass.
yeah. So I don't know. This was a good film. I really enjoyed it. Like, I think Wild at Heart might still be my top, but like this one, I think definitely I found more interesting and intriguing and enjoyable than the others.
I would agree with that. I didn't love all of our David Lynch films, but this one has rewatch potential, if not for like not the same way I would say Wild at Heart is. Like Wild at Heart, I would rewatch just because I had a good fucking time watching it. Whereas this one, I'm like, no, like you were saying earlier, like I kind of want to go. There's stuff I missed.
Yeah.
And I want to try to pick back up on it.
That's every David Lynch. David Lynch movie. I mean, Blue Velvet was pretty straightforward, but like, but the two after this one, Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire, were like, whoa, but I don't know what I just saw. I know I liked it.
Yeah,
but I need more.
Blue Velvet is probably his straightest story up until The Straight Story. He made a movie called The Straight Story.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's about an old man who rides a lawnmower across the country.
Oh, I did. I remember reading about that.
Why have I heard of that?
A while ago? I didn't remember the title.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it based on a true story?
It is based on a true story.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
maybe
believe
that's where I heard
it's
of it.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
I think. Could be wrong. I haven't seen it.
Is it like a Forrest Gump thing
like a
where he
Disney
just
movie.
meets a bunch of random people along the way that
I
he
think
brings
so.
with him?
It's a legit like Disney produced it.
I can see
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. That one would be a fun one, but it's not Halloween themed, so when
Right,
doing
yeah,
it,
no.
but
we can go weirder with that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess before we give our final thoughts on the film, do you want to do like just an overview of like David Lynch? Like now that, I mean, we've watched 5 of his films for this, series. You, I imagine, have seen most of
his films, yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot to say about the dude. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, like where does he come up with these ideas? Like, oh, he just has a title. Hey, Mulholland Drive, driving it. Okay, and then comes up with just weird, sometimes semi-incoherent story, especially the later films. And he's a big influence on a lot of filmmakers.
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say, like your favorite and your least favorite?
It's either Blue Velvet or Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
Twin
Twin Peaks? Are you a Twin Peaks guy?
I watched like
I think you told me that.
the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
And that was it. I need to go back and watch it. I don't know where it might be streaming, but I know that the first few episodes I watched, I really liked. I haven't seen Dune, Wild at Heart.
Straight Story.
So I haven't seen Straight Story. Eraserhead was cool, but it's far out there, and it's like,
Yeah.
I want to know what the symbolism is. Is it him afraid of being a father for that particular movie? I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Now that I've seen a good chunk of David Lynch stuff, I definitely I get the appeal. Mm-hmm. It's not my favorite thing in terms of style and tone and shit that he's going for, because some of the stories he chooses to tell are a little more intense than others. Yeah. But overall, now I kind of get the hype. We'll probably be on the lookout more for his name and be like, oh, maybe I should check that out. Twin Peaks, I'm more inclined to watch now that I've gotten his watch more of his work. So now I'm like, okay, let me see what the best has to offer.
Yeah. Yep. I mentioned this to you via message earlier, but I saw similarities between this movie and the movie Drive, starring the guys.
The guys.
The main person is an auto mechanic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who is beholden to like a mafia thug.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of world he's not belonging to.
Right.
Yeah.
Both have killer soundtracks.
I was about to say that stellar soundtracks from both.
No tits in Drive.
Yeah. Right. And also the female protagonists in the movie are very different.
Yeah.
The females in the movie. But I would when I was watching this movie, I'm like, I bet the director of Drive, what's his name, Nicholas
Winding Refn.
Yeah, he probably watched this movie a good 20 times.
Probably, yeah.
Probably big influence.
I can see
both
that.
end with a knifing in the desert, so that's right there. That's something.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed this film. I didn't realize, because I had made a short earlier this year called The Witness, and I didn't realize how much of this movie I pulled for that short. I got on the front of my car and was filming the street, and I did sort of a time loop thing too, and so it was I guess subconsciously David Lynch just infects my works.
Sure.
Either for the better or for the worse. It's he's something. I'm a big fan. You know this. I talk about him nonstop.
We dedicated an entire month to him.
Yes,
so
we dedicated an entire month to it.
Has he mentioned any future projects he's working on? Because I know it seems like a while since he's done a feature.
Yeah. The last thing I think he's done was some Netflix short where it's him interviewing a monkey.
I've added that to my list recently.
Okay.
It's literally 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, I'll be checking that out soon.
And but aside from that, he just does he has a foundation dedicated to transcendental meditation.
Yep.
Which I think Jerry Seinfeld is a student of too.
I see that.
Yeah. And he does a YouTube series where he does the weather and where he just he
Classic Lynch.
But outside of that, I saw on Instagram David Lynch was apparently he was spotted filming something in West Hollywood. So
I think I saw that too. Maybe you sent it to me.
Maybe.
But yeah.
It could be.
Hopefully a secret feature. Man, if he were to drop that on the world right now, people would blow their minds.
That's true.
Well, cinephiles.
Right, yeah.
The average person would be like,
yeah.
He's directing Dune 3.
We would care.
Yeah. Brad, do you have any final thoughts on this? Whatever movie we watched?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Bill Pullman is awesome. He's that boy. And I'm fighting a cold today, so my thoughts are not where they should be. So I'm gonna just end it on that.
My condolences.
Oh, thank you. It's a really hard time
COVID.
for all of us.
Don't worry, people.
It is not COVID.
Andrew, final thoughts?
Final thoughts, folks. Go out there and watch any David Lynch movie that you can get your hands on.
Yes.
Like I said earlier,
Give him money.
check out Blue Velvet or Mulholland Drive. Those are two of my favorites.
Yeah.
Haven't seen them all, but yes.
Who needs to?
I had to for this podcast.
Yeah. That's why I pay you the big bucks, Brad.
And he still has that gun underneath the table pointed at his nuts.
Yeah, exactly. We're bringing it back around.
I get to keep my balls as my payment.
And I think that we'll see you next time. Big peace.
That's right. Peace out, everybody.